Okay, let's play some damn chess. With oozy syrup spit.
It was a mess, but we knew.
Spit. Syrup.
Explore.
Come on, let's go check it out.
Syrup.
It was a mess,
spit.
but we knew we could turn it around and make it a beautiful home.
Over the next year, Joanne invests all her
Does she have
resources into renovating the
syrup
property
spit?
and preparing her business.
Once we made the house livable,
Come on, you slant-eyed whore from China!
Spirits filled with despair.
Street
flood
whore.
Sue's head.
Shambhala is her state of mind. You cannot simply switch it off. You are sensitive
Spit. Spit.
to
Spit.
taking
Spit.
place around you.
are you alright? I'm fine. You were saying? I had teaching horses, and we also boarded private riding horses.
Finally, Joanne
Come on, you
was
slant-eyed
orders
whore.
and students.
I expected to be happy and have healthy horses and have happy students. And just live my dream.
This is very nice. Thanks, Helen.
Damn!
Some little wiring problem. We'll get it fixed.
The lights just wouldn't stop going on and on.
Ah!
It's a very
That whore, that
creepy,
whore, that
strange
whore, that
feeling.
whore.
And these students started becoming very uncomfortable.
Later that night,
Did you sign up the new students?
Well, I was taking him back to my office to sign, and the lights started flickering on and off.
I was in disbelief.
Well, I wired up.
Office to sign, and the lights started flickering on and off.
I was in disbelief.
Well, I wired up.
Ah!
I'm a licensed electrician. And when I do something, I make sure everything's tight and meets the code.
It's no big. He'll sign anyway. But even when the lights are on, it's pretty dim in there. You'll want to.
Suck my
I'll
slut!
check the wiring before I go to work tomorrow. The new lights are gonna have to wait.
Syrup spit.
Fine.
Now fuck up and overlook that damn rook.
the next morning, the inspection leaves Jim baffled.
Then I checked through it, looked at the wire and the circuit breakers. I couldn't find any problem at all.
That pone, that pone, that pone, that pone, that pone. Ah!
It sounded like there was some children out there playing. I didn't see anybody.
That pone, that pone, that pone, that pone, that pone, that pone. I fucked this butt. Ah! Don't even think about it, you slut! Spit, spit.
It was a little
Oh my
frightening.
god, I fucked up.
When you hear things like that, it just makes you wonder. don't know
Man,
where
I
it
just
came
fucked
from,
up.
but I just brushed it off and kept doing what I was doing.
Fix it?
There's nothing to fix.
There's got to be something wrong.
No, there's nothing.
Must have been a fluke. Now I've got to get to work.
I gotta say that damn.
Joanne's business flourishes within months.
We were full really fast. Some of the horses were my own, but the majority were student horses. My whole dream was to have students that would want to compete. I was a very competitive
damn it.
instructor, and I wanted to be able to go to the shows with the students that were
God
boarding here.
fucking damn it. God fucking damn it. Okay,
Gain
dickhole.
experience. Some of Joanne's students help out around the
You
state
shitting
before
it.
and after.
Stupid!
Frisco won't eat or drink anything.
Have you taken him out
Maybe
yet this
not.
morning?
Yeah, that's what's odd.
Frisco is Joanne's favorite horse, but she's not worried because she knows his quirks.
Each horse has their own personality. The things that they do sometimes just kind of boggles your mind. It felt like the earth was rumbling, like horses were galloping.
What horses got out?
They're all here.
I heard galloping.
We haven't heard anything.
I felt very uncomfortable. I didn't know what it was. I
God
couldn't explain
damn it.
it.
Hey, everything alright?
Did you just hear anything?
No, what? What'd you hear?
I'm not sure. It sounded like a herd of horses just stampeded past the office.
Odd.
Has it been there a while?
As long as I know.
Stupid!
You alright?
Yeah. Just thought I heard something. I'm sure it's nothing.
I see it did. I
I just
fucked it.
know I heard
Oh!
what I did.
I trapped this rook. Stupid fucker. Stupid fuckro.
We heard this like old time type of music.
Damn, I fucked his butt. With a pole!
Very
I'm
clear.
fixing to ear your rook.
It was very, very creepy.
I just eared your rook. Not cutting off your left ear, dumbass. Ah! Come on, dumbass bitch.
Back in the woods,
I just eared your rook.
like a violin, but nobody was around.
Too? Guys, it had to be just the wind whipping
We're
around.
spitster.
Mom, what?
We're spitster.
Back in the woods, I heard this weird music, like a violin, but nobody was around.
Too? Guys, it had to be just the wind
I
whipping around.
bounced.
No,
The wind through the branches can make a whistling noise.
it wasn't the wind.
There's like 300 acres back there. There's no houses, no people, nothing.
Let's dig up another damn pond.
I know you're not, honey. Come on, help me walk Frisco.
As the weeks pass, Frisco's eating doesn't return to normal.
The horses to me are just like having children. They need just as much care and just as much love.
And several other horses begin acting sick. Joanne calls a vet for help.
It's weird. Only my horses are sick. None of the horses are.
What's he been doing?
Not eating. Seems to be uncomfortable. Seems to have a belly.
Damn.
It appears to be colic. It could be from changing his schedule, his water, his feed.
That doesn't make any sense. They're all on the same schedule. I feed them all hay and oats, and it's top quality feed.
I couldn't understand why they were getting sick.
If that's the case, I may have to run some additional tests.
It was really
Damn, I'm
upsetting
supposed to stick my dick in
as
your
well
butt.
as my students.
Tests? Look, I have my horse here and I'm worried. Could she catch this?
If it's colic, and I think that it is, you have nothing to worry about.
But I don't feel comfortable with
It's
this
not
situation.
contagious. I'm gonna give your horses some mineral oil until I get these tests back. Just keep them on their feet.
Damn,
Fresh
I'm
water in
fucking
front
your
of them.
butt.
I've worked on farms
With a
with
pole!
head of horses and never had this many illnesses. Something was happening. It was a very negative feeling.
Strange things like
Spit,
that.
spit, 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 spit,
And I
spit,
have this
spit,
growing
spit.
feeling that our lives
I
She
see
was
a
not
dick in your
surprised.
future.
Joanne's
I
favorite
see
horse
a
had been
dick.
feeling uneasy.
Most
Ah!
are more susceptible to spirits. The spirit energy just keeps crossing them. They don't know what's going on.
Ah!
All my horses got worse.
To hear the horses from the house,
Ah!
There.
Ah!
That's done.
Perfect. You know, you hurt David's feelings the other day.
What was I supposed to say? It was obviously the one.
Maybe it was, but next time, cut him a break.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Hey, by
God
the way,
damn
over
it,
to the
I
lights,
fucked
you want a
up.
friend here.
Thanks.
Man, I just fucked up. God damn it.
as the weeks pass, Joanne develops
That fucking
close
pisses
friendships
me
with her
off.
students.
I want you guys to think about writing in some competitions. Maybe.
Hanging out with them helps take her mind off the negative feelings she senses on the
That
property.
fucking pisses me off. Man, I fucked up.
See you later.
That fucking pisses me off.
Guys, I really think I could win a competition.
Ah!
It's a little hard your first time, Deidre.
Ah!
That's not my Sierra, is it?
No, that's definitely Frisco. We're still waiting for the test to come back.
I'm sorry.
Definitely Frisco.
We're spits,
We're still waiting for the test to come back.
I'm sorry.
Your husband's a hell of a whistler.
That's not Jim. He's out of town.
Ah!
Well, then who is it? I don't know.
Please don't
Find
be
out.
that stupid.
The students were
Take
scared
the
to
damn
death.
night, you slut.
I didn't know if when I'd open the doors, if
Stupid!
there'd be someone standing there. I had no
Ah!
expect.
Ah! Ah! I fucked his hole! Damn, I fucked this book. Like a pro! Like a pro! You spit? Man, I fucking quit.
I felt like there was a presence
Fuck you.
watching me that made me feel extremely uncomfortable.
This is freaking weird. What is going on here? I don't know, Deidre. Whatever, this whole place is freaking weird. Come on, let's just call it a night.
How could I fight the sinister feeling or thing if it wouldn't show itself to me? How could I get rid of it?
Hey, Jesse, how's it going? Yes, I know what Deidre said, but that's just Deidre. No, Allison's just not sure if she's going to stay. I understand.
God damn it.
What am I going to do next? If everybody leaves, I'm no longer going to be in business. something tugging my leg. There was definitely something.
Wow, she's got some spit arms.
In my leg. There was definitely something tugging my leg.
Hey, honey.
Not now, Jim.
Not now. Well, you've been telling me about this forever.
Something's here. Something just grabbed my leg.
To really make me say yes, I'm a true believer, it would probably have to come up and break the backside.
Oh, put your black ass to stone.
Joanne.
And you are black. Fucking cunt.
I know there's something. I don't know
Street
exactly
whore.
what it is.
With or without Jim's support, Joanne cannot sit idly by as her horses continue to fail. One night, while Jim works overtime, she meets with an acupuncturist. Joanne hopes the alternative therapy will soothe her horses while she waits on the vet's lab tests.
Thank you so much for coming out.
I just hope I can help.
Well, it's
Joanne
about
doesn't
fucking
realize
time
the
you
acupuncturist has psychic abilities.
What's wrong?
This isn't just about the horses, is it?
She turned to me and said, "Do you mind if I say something to you?"
There are spirits.
She said, "Do you realize you have many, many spirits here?" Finally, somebody is seeing and feeling what I have been feeling.
Why are they here?
Sometimes earthbound spirits are trapped. Maybe they died a horrific death. Maybe some force is holding them here.
The healer suspects the answer lies buried in the land's past.
There are some rituals that may make peace, at least for a little while.
It was like a big cloud of negativity over my farm, and I needed to find out why and try to put a stop to it.
Can I have a look?
Later that night, Jim is still away on his job.
Everything's fine. Just been reading up on the history of Kinston. You know, a plague came through in the 1800s. Wiped out half the town.
Scary. Look, I'm probably going to be stuck here most of the night.
Do what you gotta do. We'll be here.
Yeah, I knew you'd understand. How's David?
He's fine. See you in the morning.
Please don't. Please don't.
Every night, Joanne goes to the station for one last check on her horses.
Come on, you slut, move. You street whore from China? Street whore. Fuck this shit. I want to listen to some damn music. She's cute. Boom! I touched her head. The dice. Spit. The dice spit. The dice spit. With the dice spit. with the spit effect. Did she have the spit effect though? I just shit in my pants. I just shit in my pants. I just shit in my pants. Well, spit, spit, spit. Well, let's see her spittiness again. The spit, the spit smell. She's they spit. Oh, she's adorable. Whoop. And guess who's? And guess who's coming up next? This cute girl's head. This cute girl's head. I just bounced. Like a She's cute. Boop. That smile is cute. What did they spit? Get that damn light out of here, slut. Miss Cute Hands coming up. Here she comes. Boop. The spirit. on, you slant-eyed whore. Come on, you slant-eyed whore. There's pits. There's pits. That fucking pissed me off. That fucking pissed me off. I'm gonna do this fucking way. God damn it. God fucking damn it. Susie, get up, get up, get up. 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 Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Stupid! You stupid arsehole. Alright, fuck this. Oh! Now that's what you call a good game of chess. Game of chess, a proper game of chess. When you get a checkmate and both sides got the vast majority of all their pieces. Look at that damn shit over here. lose your bitch shit. You whore.
Away.
Wait a minute. God damn it. I could have put his asshole and shit in me. Man, I'm stupid. Man, I could have dicked him up. I could have dicked him up. Damn, that fucking pisses me off. See, that fucking pisses me off. Look at me. I could. Get that damn knife out of the way! Son of a bitch. See, that fucking pisses me off. That fucking pisses me off. Kiss that damn rook goodbye, slut. gotta lose that roof. You slap that slut you shot in Japan, Orient, and the Orient. You Orient prostitute. Real free and poor. So. That's that. Fuck up and take that damn fucking phone fucking I just dicked up a poem. We spit smell. We spit smell. Suck my slut. Suck my motherfucking slut. Whoa. Does she have spit arms?
I got
previous video. Whoop. I hope that adorable thumbnail girl is in this video. Spit. That's a shed of spit. That looks like shed of broadcast. The shields. The shield. Wow. Some spit arms. So that shit in here. God damn it. I just shit in my pants. There's pit. God fucking damn it. God Damn it. And this game's fucking lost. Oh, is it an adorable girl? Because that was pure stupid.
You always wanted a I only wanted a job, and I wasn't from the living. How am I gonna get through? How am I gonna get through? I come here looking for money, got to hit it, ended up giving me love. Oh, now you left me with nothing, can't get it. How am I gonna get through? How am I gonna get through? I wish you drinks, I wish you flies, I wish you books, it's all flowers. Every day so many tricks, such pretty files. It's only what have I done to deserve this? What have I done to deserve this? What have I? Since you went away, I've been hanging around, I've been wondering why. I've been down, went away, you should make me feel better. I'm coming over. How am I gonna get through this? How am I gonna get through this? You always wanted me to be something I wasn't. You always wanted too much. Oh, now I can do what I want to forever. How am I gonna get through? How am I gonna get through? At night the people come and go. It's just too fast to walk too slow. Chasing time from hour to hour. All the drinks that crash the fires. What have I done to deserve this? What have I done to deserve this? What have I?
Damn, I could have picked him up. Oh! Damn, I fucked his butt with the pole. Come on, slut, you slut. Come on, slut. Damn it. Woozy spit. Smooth slut.
You always wanna
What have I done to deserve this? What have I done to deserve this? Spit snow orange. My slut. That pole, that pole, that pole, that pole, that pole. You better look out, cuz I'm thinking to stick my dick in your butt and twist. Slut. What have I done to deserve this? What have I done to shit deserve this? What have I done to shit deserve this? What have I done to shit deserve this? Let's leave it on the Spitster. What have I done to shit deserve this? What have I done to shit deserve this? What have I done to shit? What have I done to shit deserve this? What have I done to shit deserve this? Come on, slant-eyed whore from China! You North Korean whore from China and Japan. The Orient, I'm the Orient. You Oriental prostitute.
Now, I'm going to get some hate mail for this. Some people are going to really critique me and
declare Sean a prophet, because this is another
I just eared your rook.
I think in the past maybe somebody would lose their faith and they didn't really want to take a whole bunch of people with them. So if it works for you, you do that. I'm just going to go over here and do this.
Yes. Wasn't the world better when non-Christians would just slink away and keep their mouths shut?
So there's like the testimony, the deconstruction stories, like the evangelical testimony, to try to persuade people away from beliefs that they think are toxic
and harmful. Isn't noble? I'm not sure what is. Welcome to Apologia, where former Christian takes a look at the claims of Christians.
It's seen as virtuous to bring as many people out of those historic doctrines as you possibly can.
Today we're revisiting Sean McDowell, the Jimmy Fallon of YouTube apologist, and his recent episode with guests Tim Barnett of Stand to Reason's Red Pen Logic.
It's about time, Sean. What did I ever do to offend you?
And former
What have I done to deserve this?
turned anti-progressive warrior,
Damn, I stuck my dick up his butt.
Lisa Childers.
Well, my two guests today, we're going to put together called The Deconstruction of Christianity. This is going to be a fun conversation, but it's also a serious topic. And you guys have both with some gravity, with some concern for the church, for loved ones who have deconstructed.
And that's going to be the focus of my response here. Does it make sense for Christians like these three to have or show concern about individuals who deconstruct, or more specifically, lose their faith, in light of this opinion?
Do you think most people who deconstruct, if you can say most, if not many, were ever in the faith? And before you answer, because I realize this is a dangerous question, go on the record, I will tell you what I think from my experience. I don't think most were. I think most people who have deconstructed, again, in the way of just leaving the Christian faith, were not in the Christian faith in the first place. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What do you think, Tim?
I totally agree, and you took the words out of my mouth.
Lisa, what do you think, if you want to weigh in here, or was it covered?
Yeah, well, it's covered. I don't have much to add, so I agree with you 100% on this.
Now, Sean caveats with a hashtag not all.
I'm not saying all. That's not my point. I can't judge anybody's heart.
So later in the video, I'm going to break down their reasons for giving this answer, the theological problems that go along with it, and address the abject condescension. But first, let's focus in on why this entire video, and indeed any books about, or consternation about, deconstruction, are inconsistent, and in fact antithetical to this view that the whole deconversion phenomenon affects only people who aren't really saved. In case you weren't raised in an evangelical tradition like I was, let me recap the factors here. According to Sean and his ilk, one day this world will end, and each human who has ever lived will face judgment and be held accountable for their sins. Ignoring the selection criteria for now, Jesus will intervene in this process for some people, and they will avoid punishment altogether, and in fact, will receive an infinite reward. These people are what evangelicals call saved. In light of eternity, all that matters is whether you are saved or not. There is no other consideration that comes close. That said, there's a bit of a twist.
I believe a lot of people who think they're Christians who aren't really Christian.
Indeed, it's recorded in Matthew 7 that Jesus said this: "Not everyone who says to me, 'Lord, Lord,' will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only the one who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. Many will say to me on that day, 'Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name, and in your name drive out demons, and perform many miracles?' Then I will tell them plainly, 'I never knew you. Away from me, you evildoers.'" Can you imagine? You're here on earth performing literal miracles in Jesus' name, something no one on Sean's panel has done, as far as I know, and ultimately you're not one of the saved? Now, why should this panel, or any evangelical like them, care at all if the people who are not saved in the first place stop calling themselves Christians? they haven't become any less saved by deconverting. They were never saved in the first place. So the number of souls in heaven is completely unaffected. The Bible talks about separating the wheat from the chaff, about expelling the evil brother, and getting rid of wolves in sheep's clothing. Churches should want to shake out any non-saved from among them.
Deconstructing is just reforming. And your church should be happy that we're deconstructing.
Exactly. 2 Thessalonians 2 specifically commands the church to not worry or be troubled about the great apostasy, which is arguably what's happening now. Let no one deceive you by any means, for that day will not come unless the falling away comes first. If the panel genuinely believe that saved Christians are impervious to deconstruction, then they wouldn't have spent the rest of the interview saying things like this.
And I think in your book you rightly draw attention to a movement that is bent upon destroying Christianity.
Well, I think deconstruction is one of the greatest challenges to the Christian faith right now.
How can the greatest challenge to the faith be having people who aren't really saved stop claiming that they are saved?
You are teleported into a world that is so antagonistic to Christianity and to the Word of God. You can't help but deconstruct. It's like, no, duh, people are leaving.
Which is it? Saved Christians exposed to anti-Christian ideas can't help but deconstruct? Or are truly saved Christians impervious to anti-Christian ideas? Or are you just talking about unsaved Christians remaining unsaved, thereby having no impact at all to eternal faith?
For every Birch and Russell, there might have been, 100 others who left the faith and left quietly and didn't take thousands of followers with them.
You must mean unsaved followers, right? Because the saved followers are safe. If they're unsaved, it doesn't matter if they're followers or not.
We've all researched the effects of social media and echo chambers and how that can have an effect even on the way we think, and we can be persuaded to believe things that aren't true.
But not saved people, right? Saved people are immune to social media echo chambers because saved people cannot be persuaded to believe Christianity isn't true. From this hour-long video, I could easily give you 30 more clips of similar examples where the panel is inconsistently concerned that deconstruction might cause some to lose their faith when they simultaneously assert that no saved people are deconstructing. They're not acting as if this belief is true.
We agree on so much. We agree on that we don't want people to leave the faith.
Why be concerned that unsaved people are adopting a label that is more consistent with their unsaved status? You seem very upset that progressive Christians are using the label Christian in a way you don't like. You'd think having thousands of unsaved people saying, "I'm no longer Christian," would be preferable to them remaining hypocrites who might tarnish your brand. The cynic in me wonders if maybe you'd rather keep the unsaved Christians around so that they keep putting money in the offering plate and buying your books and padding the numbers when it comes to voting blocks. If all the people this panel deemed to be not Christian stopped calling themselves Christians, it might become quite a lonely club. Worrying about the number of people deconverting while simultaneously insisting that deconverted people were never converted in the first place is just straight up inconsistent behavior. That said, I'm not unsympathetic to the notion that counter-apologetic messages of ex-evangelicals might be putting barriers in front of people who are not currently saved, but could potentially one day become saved.
I would never take an empty Gatorade bottle and put antifreeze in it and just leave it out. Because, when my kids were young and they didn't know the difference, they may say, "Oh, blue liquid in a Gatorade bottle, I'm going to drink that." What I would want to do is relabel that so it's clear this is antifreeze, or this is bad news, so that there's no confusion.
I'm not sure Gatorade is that different from antifreeze anyways, but I digress. I'm kidding.
I hope I'm not demonetized for platforming false medical claims. If the panel is taking the Bible at its word that the saved won't lose their faith, are they equally trusting the Bible about whether people on social media can stop someone from being saved? John 6:37, all those the Father gives me will come to me, and whoever comes to me, I will never drive away. John 6:44, no one can come to me unless the Father who sent me draws them, and I will raise them up at the last day. Romans 8:29. For those God foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his Son, that he might be the firstborn among many brothers and sisters. Ephesians 1:4 and 5. For he chose us in him before the creation of the world to be holy and blameless in his sight. In love, he predestined us for adoption to sonship through Jesus Christ, in accordance with his pleasure and will. Now, it's
He
not
left
for
the room
me
with my
to
dick in
interpret
his
someone
butt.
else's holy book, but on the surface, it sure sounds
While I
like
was
no
sitting
person
down,
meant
so I
to
had
be
to
saved
stretching this
will
dick
be
in
prevented
history.
from being saved by social media or any other human endeavor. All this railing against the deconversion trend is misguided and misplaced. That's enough about the inconsistency between the panel's claims and the panel's actions. Let's now talk about what they mean by this "they were never a true Christian" notion. As always, it's best to first get clarity on definitions.
Words and definitions matter, and we have to be careful how we define them.
Sadly, the panel doesn't lay out cleanly what they mean by "never a real Christian." So let's consider some options. They might mean someone who never understood Christianity, or someone who never committed to Christianity, or someone who will not be saved by Jesus on Judgment Day. If the panel means that last one, well then I personally have no objection, and I'll talk later about why. If you mean one of the first two, well that's where the claim is both demonstrably false and frankly offensive. So, does Sean mean people who never understood Christianity?
When I look at a lot of people who are deconstructed in the way you describe it and do TikTok videos, the theological critiques are so often so shallow and indicate they're attacking strawman. Either they're intentionally twisting Christianity because they're angry about it, or they never understood it in the first place.
Indeed he does. Sean is claiming they never understood Christianity in the first place. When it comes to getting saved status, how much understanding and detailed theology is required? Romans 10:9 says, if you declare with your mouth Jesus is Lord, and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. And what Christian isn't aware of John 3:16? For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have eternal life.
Stupid! Because that was stupid!
Theological nuance when it comes to your saved status. Is the panel really saying that most deconverts couldn't intellectually grasp even this notion? Among those who call themselves former Christians are trained pastors, people with theology degrees, people who devoted themselves to study. I had the top GPA at my Bible college. Did none of us grasp the gospel message adequately enough to be saved, while the thief on the cross next to Jesus was granted access to paradise on last-minute confession? Maybe Tim can clear up who they're talking about.
I mean, again, I don't know the heart of the individual, but what I can do is, I go on, Deconstructing Girls Instagram account, and I see what this.
I knew you followed that one, Tim. I knew it. Sorry, keep going.
I mean, they all go by these names, right? And that's a real account. And
I know it is.
Deconstructing Girl is she put out. We red penned it. She said the primary belief of Christianity is child sacrifice. That's the central belief. And I just think, and then in like the comment, she wrote, there's no coming back from this one kind of thing. And I'm thinking, first of all, I mean, this is easy to respond to. But second of all, this is someone who says they were a Christian, and yet they think that our central belief is that in child sacrifice. I mean, my 7-year-old can respond to that challenge. My 7-year-old knows that Jesus was a full-grown man when he gave his life on a cross, and he willingly gave that life. And so it was, so when you see that straw man as you just described, and these straw men are everywhere, you can only come to two kinds of conclusions. One is they are being deliberately misrepresenting Christianity.
Yeah.
Now I don't want to go there. So I'm just what I'm going to assume is you don't get it. And if you don't get that, something as simple as this, as fundamental as this, then maybe you didn't get any of it.
Okay, so I don't love the primary belief of Christian is child sacrifice take, but it's not wrong. Let's put it side by side with John 3:16, often quoted by many Christians as the core of their beliefs. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only son. God sacrificed his child. The verse says it. Your point-missing conflation that crucified Jesus was an adult doesn't change the fact that Jesus was still God's child. You don't stop being your parents' child at a certain age. Do you really think Deconstructing Girl doesn't understand Christian basics? Or does a person actually need to be well acquainted with the topic in order to offer a hard-hitting parody critique? Since this panel is so obsessed with hashtags,
hashtag. He's got all these hashtags.
let me introduce them to hashtag explain a film plot. Is so a topic in order to offer a hard-hitting parody critique. Since this eloquent understand Christian basics, or does a person actually think Deconstructing Girl doesn't stop being your parents' child at a certain age? Do you really think Deconstructing Girl doesn't understand Christian basics? Or does a person actually need to be well acquainted with the topic in order to offer a hard-hitting parody critique? Since this panel is so obsessed with hashtags,
He's got all these hashtags.
Hashtag.
He's got all these hashtags.
Let me introduce them to hashtag explain a film plot badly. Paranoid billionaire afraid of immigrant. Group spends 9 hours returning jewelry. Talking frog convinces son to kill his dad. Depressed widowed father teams up with mentally challenged woman to find his disabled son. Billions of dollars in subsidies for a potato farmer. A love triangle between an 18-year-old girl, a 100-year-old guy, and a dog. It may well be that dedicated fans of these film franchises could take umbrage with these descriptions, but they are undeniably accurate, despite being incomplete. Would Tim or Sean want to say that any of these tweeters didn't understand the movie they are describing? Or did they in fact have to understand it well in order to even make the meta-commentary in the first place? Obviously, there's going to be a broad spectrum of levels of knowledge about the content of the Bible, church history, theological traditions, competing views and interpretations, and so on and so on. But non-believers can have perfect knowledge.
The Bible says that demons believe and shudder. Demons have correct theology. They believe the correct things about Jesus.
Just as saved believers can know next to nothing about Christianity. So let's stop pretending that profession of faith is an indicator of understanding, and drop the ridiculous notion that non-believers are necessarily lacking some key piece of information or insight, or too stupid to connect your theological dots.
It seems like the vast majority didn't get it.
If you want to know if a person professing to be a former Christian understood it, ask them questions. That's not something you can determine with Sean and Tim's social media litmus test. Former believers can be hurt, lashing out, or using humor as a coping mechanism for their religious trauma. Sometimes I enjoy being hyperbolic on social media. It's cathartic. Former Christians also have a perspective that you don't have because you've never left, and you can never have until you actually leave. A visitor who's traveled the world may have more astute observations about a country than the citizen who's never traveled outside of it. When you're out, you can see some things more clearly. That's something I've learned since losing my faith. So, what about this notion of never really believing or committing?
Well, one question I've asked on air and over
has
again
Uzi
in person
arms
is
in.
not the story of somebody leaving the faith, but tell me when you got in. Tell me that moment when you realized you were a sinner in need of God's grace and you cried out for forgiveness. It's incredible how many times, the vast majority of times, I get a blank stare, which tells me you are part of the club sociologically, but maybe not fully in the faith.
I can tell you precisely when I first realized I was a sinner and cried out for forgiveness. I was 8, wearing footy pajamas, and had to run to my room. And that prayer was literally on my knees. I can also recall dozens of times afterward where I felt what I attributed to the Holy Spirit convicting me of sin to the point of shedding tears and literally crying out for forgiveness.
But what's missing is this, like, the defining experience of a Christian, and that is to kind of beat your breast and say, have mercy on me, a sinner. This kind of experience. You think of Jesus describes this scenario where the man can't even look up to the sky. Like there's this posture of, I am not worthy to stand before the holy God. And so you're just casting yourself on his mercy and asking for forgiveness. Is that kind of experience being described?
Had it. Exactly as described. If you think this is so rare among apostates, why is how do I get over the fear of hell always one of the top questions for groups like Recovering from Religion? People internalize the message of Christian sinfulness and unworthiness. That's as close to ubiquitous as it gets.
They've never trusted in Jesus, and that's the big difference.
So someone like me tells you that they trusted Jesus with their life, their family, their thoughts, their finances, their health, their everything. And you say,
Sean has a conversation with somebody, asks them this question, and I've never seen yet a truly satisfying answer.
It's unsatisfying to you?
God
I'm
damn
sorry. Imagine for a minute walking up to an adult and insisting that because they no longer believe in the tooth fairy, that they cannot have ever believed in the tooth fairy. The adult recalls, anxiously scouring the floor to find their missing tooth, panicking lest it not be in hand for trade, and recalls falling asleep, dreaming of the treat that could be purchased the next day, and remembers their hands flailing under their pillow within seconds of their eyes popping open, searching for that magical coin with wonder. But you're unimpressed, unsatisfied. They must be mistaken about their own internal thoughts. Otherwise, they'd still believe in the tooth fairy. People never stop believing things they genuinely believed in. Everything you've ever genuinely believed, you have to still believe today. Do you have any idea how condescending it is to insist that you know my thoughts better than I know my thoughts?
And I don't know the heart of the individual.
I'm not saying all. That's not my point. I can't judge anybody's heart.
But you do judge people's hearts. Look, I've known people who were raised in Christianity who say they never really felt any of the feelings. So maybe the panel was talking about people who admit to not having them. If so, that's fair enough. But it sure sounds like they're putting themselves in the position to dismiss the self-reporting of people like me who had experiences I attributed at the time to the Holy Spirit. Christians can dismiss our sincerity all they want, but that's not going to do anything but provide some kind of excuse to dismiss us and provide plausible deniability to the faithful. It's not a strategy to actually convince the skeptic of the truth of Christianity, as it merely demonstrates a way that Christianity is wrong. So I'm insulted, but not shaken, when a Christian insists I didn't, or don't, understand Christianity, because so far that's never been followed up with new information or insight. And I'm insulted and amused when a Christian insists I didn't believe it, or wasn't committed to it. I can be confident in the content of my own thoughts, even if they don't have the benefit of the same insight. But was I ever saved? If the panel means I was never a Christian because I was never actually saved from my actual sin from an actual savior, obviously I think that's correct. I hold that there is no savior, and that the concept of sin is a meaningless one absent a God that exists. So yeah, I was never saved. And Tim and Sean and Alyssa have never been saved either. From a non-believer perspective, if the criteria for Christianity is actual, veridical, really real salvation, no one in history has ever been a real Christian. If that's what a Christian means to you, then I'm not insulted. You'll get it once you finally deconvert and discover you were never really a Christian either. If you want to see more of me addressing the claims of Sean McDowell, tap on the playlist on screen now, and I'll see you over there. Until next time, later.
That whore, that whore, that whore, that whore. God damn it. God fucking damn it. This year was spitting it, man. Very nice Deborah machine. Spit, bit, 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 bit.
Alright guys, I'm going to call a spade a spade. Joy Ann Reid of MSNBS, you may know it as MSNBC.
Whore.
She is a pervert.
No
other way to put it, man. The left are full of perverts. And they actually allow these people into the mainstream media. The mainstream media is truly the enemy of the people. Now, you guys know, in Florida, Ron DeSantis really went after these woke schools, pushing basically pedo stuff in the classroom. And these books, he got them out of there. The left went nuts about that. Why is it that the left is defending inappropriate books in schools? Folks, the left is out of control, man. They are really, really out of control. These people, I believe, should be arrested. That actually
could be rescued.
welcome to Mindshift. I'm Brandon. Today's another Tuesday Takedown, but first, here I am. I am in the new studio, and I am so very excited. It is like 95% done. I just need to finish some of the design and some of the dialing in. I've got new lights. I've got a new mic. It sounds like I need to do some soundproofing. There's kind of a bit of an echo in here, but for the most part, we are here and enough to start.
You're so ugly and fucking
so
bold.
don't critique me on design or quality just yet. Is it too much orange? That's my first question. But anyways, I digress. I wanted to say thank you so much to everyone who has contributed on Super Chats or via your Patreon membership. It helps tremendously. With the studio, I'm going to be able to film more. I'm going to be able to do more live events. I'm going to be able to start my call-in show where we talk to doubters, deconverters, and those that are just deconstructing their religion, as well as hopefully more collabs. I can shoot at different times. It just opens up so much, and it's thanks to all of your generous support. And I needed it. I still need it. This was very expensive. We ran into some electrical issues that were not foreseen, and it really started to add up. So, if you've been wanting to support the channel, but you haven't taken the dive yet, this would be a good time to do so. The link to the Patreon account is in the description below. But that's it. Let's get right into today's video. Also, I think I have my lights too bright. I feel like I'm squinting and my eyes are watery. So like I said, lots to dial in on. But today is a Tuesday Takedown, never of people, just of bad ideas, bad apologetics, and bad arguments. And today we have a YouTuber who is a Christian that put up a clip from Theo Von trying to make a case based off Theo's reaction here. Theo Von is a comedian, a podcaster, etc. And there's a lot that I think we can talk about from this clip, and it's something that's a little bit different for us. So let's go ahead and watch this clip.
Hold up, Theo Von putting away the jokes for a moment and talking about God. Watch this.
I can't. And look, I know some people out there are atheists and stuff, and they don't want to believe in anything, and that's, you know, and I can't understand it. But I also come from a place where I think I felt alone a lot. And so, if you're telling me that there is a free there's a free being, a free body, a free parent, a free love, a free heart out there in the universe that will help me not feel alone, man, come on. That's a lottery ticket that I don't have to scratch, man. I'll take that all day. I'll take that all day because I want to be a part of something bigger. I don't want to be a part of just myself.
Come on, to hear more about what God is doing, follow and subscribe for more.
So, I mean, it's kind of lovely, and Theo Von is a super real dude. He's very down to earth, and he has quite the background growing up in some pretty extreme poverty, and so I think that we can talk about quite a bit here. First of all, notice that he's just talking about a God in general, but of course this YouTuber, the hashtags are hashtag gospel, Jesus, Christianity, Christian faith, Bible, and God. Just attributing 6 out of the 7 hashtags to a very specific form of religion and a very particular God. We're going to skip over that for the most part. I understand that most people are going to take a clip like this and they're going to internalize it into the religion they believe in or the popular religion of the country, etc. That's fine.
Yeah, if he fucks up badly, he's gonna lose both the rook and his whore.
I am what I consider to be an agnostic atheist. When it comes to the particular God,
come on, slut, move,
Allah or Yahweh, etc., I am a straight up atheist. I think those claims are falsifiable, and I do not believe in them. When it comes to deism in general, is there a God? I'm extremely agnostic. I have no idea. I don't think we have any good reason to believe that, but there's, of course, no way to falsify that, and I wouldn't dare step out on that big of a ledge. So for today's purposes in this video,
move, slut! Wow, put your black ass for stalling, even though you are white. Even if you are white.
And where he was born and raised and things of this nature, I'm sure when he thinks of God, he thinks of the Christian God. So we're going to attack it from that angle, and we're just going to break this down part by part by part.
And look, I know some people out there are atheists and stuff, and they don't want to believe in anything, and that's, you know, and I can't understand it. But I also come from a place where I think I felt alone a lot.
So that's where I want to stop the first clip, because so often on this channel and many channels like this, we are talking about what the last theologian said, what the last pastor or apologist said, etc., and not the common man. And again, I think that Theo Von really represents the common man here. And so when he thinks of an atheist, he's thinking about someone that he thinks doesn't want to believe in anything. That's what he said. And I think it's going to be really cool to view this from this more commonality. People that aren't just engrossed in this space all the time. Someone that just grows up with this feeling that there's more out there. And he can't understand the atheist who doesn't want to believe in anything. I believe in many things that are higher than myself, like family and friendship and community and love. I just don't have to map that onto a particular God claim to enjoy it. But my life is, I think, I have what he's looking for. And
that is one of the things that I want this channel to get across the most. It's an old cliche, but so many people say, we're all born with this hole, this God-sized hole that only he can fill. And so if you don't believe in God, you're going to be empty, you're going to be meaningless. Meanwhile, there's people like Theo that clearly do believe in a higher power and still have some sense of longing. And I don't want to speak for him too much because we're basing this off a 60-second clip, but obviously there are many, many, many people that would say, there's a God out there, and yet they still have this emptiness. And of course there are atheists that still have this emptiness as well. I don't want to get too far down the wrong rabbit trail here. We are meant, and this is something that most religions have gotten correct, for community. And when I say meant, I don't mean predestined by some higher power or fate or providence. I mean from an evolutionary perspective, we survived because we were a species that was able to group together, to communicate, to share, to empathize, to trade. And there's just no sense in denying. I think with this mic I need to be a little bit closer. These are the things I've got to dial in. I apologize. But again, my point here is I acknowledge and recognize and even scientifically understand that we need community. And so a lot of people who are isolated, who are lonely, who are dealing with depression or anxiety, they might feel like they're missing something, and indeed they very well might be. But this idea that the only thing that can fill it and that everyone has this need and it can only be accomplished via God, and specifically the particular God claim of Jesus Christ and Yahweh, no. I reject that. I reject it fully. And it's kind of a futile attempt to convince a Christian that as an atheist I can have meaning. Nothing changed. I'm still Brandon. I'm still a good dad. I'm still a good friend. I still endeavor to do good for my community and for everyone. If anything, I would say that these kinds of morals have increased since I have recognized that there is no God coming to save the day, that the prayers don't do anything, that the money I put in the offering plate isn't going to solve the world's problems. It's a very unfortunate idea that is ingrained into believers' heads from a very early position, that God is the only answer. But I've beat a dead horse here. Let's move on to the next thing that he says.
You're telling me that there is a free person, there's a free being, a free body, a free parent, a free love, a free heart out there in the universe that will help me not feel alone. That's a lottery ticket that I don't have to scratch, man. I'll take that all day.
So again, coming from his background of this loneliness, hearing that there is this offer, and I want to go through these and compare them, of course, with the biblical God here, a free being, he says body as well, but being, a free parent, a free love, and a free heart. So still mainly these three things. Come to God, and you now have someone, a being, who cares for you. A heavenly Father, someone who's going to look out for you, that wants your best interest, a free love, just truly being loved without having to do anything, actual, unconditional love. I agree, that sounds beautiful. I can't even imagine. I know that many believers have essentially, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, tricked themselves into believing this, and that is why religion is so beneficial for some people. They have essentially, and I hate this terminology because I think that it's used in rhetoric from atheists when they're trying to attack, but I really do believe they have essentially made up an imaginary friend that fits into their life and gives them everything they were missing and fills all of those holes. And that can look like many different things to many different people, because again, this Bible is a choose your own adventure book, and this God concept is a build your own best friend concept, but it's hollow. And I believe you can only trick yourself so long, or to a certain degree, before those prayers that go unanswered, they're just too many of them now. Those atrocities that you've witnessed, the suffering that you've seen, it just doesn't add up anymore with what you've idealized this God character to be. I think this is kind of a really weird bell curve or lack thereof. There seems to be two ends of the spectrum. People that are so desperate, that are so bad off, that have so much harm and misfortune in their life that they simply need almost to the highest degree this God to be real. They need there to be a payoff. They need there to be a next life where things are better. They need for the potential of something more. And then you have the really privileged believer. Like, they've never really experienced loss. They've grown up in a great community, in a church where they felt safe. Nothing bad ever happened to them. They never read too much into all of the claims. Jesus was always there when they needed him. He was just a best friend. And they haven't had a reason to gut check themselves yet. And unfortunately, this person can change in a heartbeat. One real loss, one real disappointment, one time where they actually open themselves up enough to hear the counter argument, and it can implode. But for many people, they are so privileged, and no knock on them, but they are indeed in such a good position in life that God is just the cherry on top. And then I think there's kind of this middle ground. And again, I'm generalizing here, so don't hold me to all of this. But I do think there's this middle ground of the people that have a bad enough life, and they're like, God's nowhere to be found here. Or the people that have a good enough life, but they have enough perspective of what's gone on in history or the rest of the world or comparative religion to be like, this concept, this claim is asinine. And so this is kind of the spectrum that I see. And I see Theo down here like, man, I just want there to be more. I need there to be more. And then I see so many Christians, especially in this online apologetic space, that just honestly seem a bit ignorant, again, of history and other religions and personal experiences and how our bodies work and our minds work, etc. And so it allows them to naively continue to hang on to the particular God claim that they believe in. And over here, it can look like the needs are being met. There's that free being, that free parent, that free love. And over here, we're so desperate for it that I'm just going to have to believe those three things can be met. But again, if we look at what the Bible tells us about this God and we compare it up against reality, tell me where we get this free, perfect being. Tell me in what world one who has read the entire Bible can walk away and say, yep, good Father. It's one of the things I hammer home the most in all of the 0.7s I do in my secular Bible study series. It's towards the end of each video, and I cover contradictions and problematic passages. And especially with those problematic passages, I often point out, this is not a good father. This is not someone you would want to base your parenting style off of. In fact, I have a future video that I really want to put together on comparing God as a good father and doing so extensively. But no, he doesn't meet that. And of course, we know he does not match up to this concept of love. I've done 2 recent videos on that. You can check them out. But this God does not give us unconditional love. It is highly conditional. And even then, I don't know if it's something we should call love. And then I think we have just one last part of the video here. Let's check it out.
God damn it. I don't want to be a part of this myself.
How insightful, how introspective. I really do admire Theo's take here, even if I disagree in the end result or how it gets fixed. But he wants to be a part of something bigger. He doesn't just want it to be about himself anymore. I think this is almost as close as you can get to a universal truth. And I mentioned some of the evolutionary pressures that led to it, but we know people feel better when they're helping, when they're contributing, when they're active, when they're a member of something, when they belong. But the problem is twofold here. If we are just attributing this to straight deism, what does that mean exactly? Is this when we get into all the vague, new age spirituality? And I think there can be just as much loss and loneliness and confusion in those concepts. And that's something I'd actually like to start covering more on the channel. But again, if we're bringing it down to that very specific God claim, and most likely in this particular case, it being Christianity here in the US where Theo Von is from, then sure, you can get community at church. You can get plugged in and be a part of something bigger. You can meet up with these groups of people 2, 3, 4 times a week. You can give your money and feel like it's going and doing something better than if you just went to the bar by yourself or whatever the example is. But it's not the only way to achieve this. And this is the great lie that has been told to the common person. First of all, without getting too heavy into philosophy or therapy or anything like this, you've got to be okay with yourself. And so many people who haven't done the work to actualize, to become whole, to heal their trauma, etc., they're going to get plugged in, and maybe it'll be a high or a fix for a little while, but you're going to keep coming up empty. And it's not a selfish thing, but the church, the Christian community, will so often demonize that idea. No, you and your focus on yourself. That's the problem. Give, 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 give. You can only do that so long before it completely breaks you. You need to be whole, and out of the overabundance of yourself, be able to give and connect and get plugged in. And again, I know I'm just armchair philosophizing and giving unlicensed therapy, but I do believe this, and I do see it to be true. I think this particular religion wants to milk you for all you've got, all your offering, all your tithe, all your volunteer hours, all for one goal: God's kingdom. And biblically speaking, that is and should be correct. But if that kingdom doesn't exist, if that God isn't there, if the rewards that are supposed to come with that never come, and the people in leadership don't care, and they will keep taking from you as long as you are willing to give it, because it is now also their livelihood. It, again, might work for a while, but it's not the final answer. One of the big reasons that I'm talking about this today, and one of the big reasons for my channel, is to help those that are in the process of doubting, deconverting, or deconstructing, those that are in religion and feel lost or feel like they've been lied to or duped, or it's not what it was, or this God isn't real, and now they're facing a new challenge. They're afraid of what they might lose, even though it hasn't been enough. And by the way, atheism does not guarantee you a better result. There are people that will leave the church because they find out it's false, the religious claim that is, and they will become more lonely. They will become more sad. They will be hurt by the relationships that are lost, and in the end, it is a net loss. That is unfortunately a fact. I think that there is an element of just being in the truth that can compensate for a lot of that, but that is not true for everyone, even if it's true for my particular personality. And I've worked really hard to maintain a lot of those relationships to not end up in that boat. So I want to give some advice, again, anecdotally from my own personal experience here, that there is nothing that is going to make everything perfect. And you might be lonely. You might have an unfair disadvantage in life. And no one, whether they're selling religion or secularism or humanism, etc., can guarantee you anything. And I've seen some atheist channels try to do this. Oh, leave religion and everything will be better. For many people, that's true, because there's so much harm in so much religion that finally lifting the veil, seeing the world as it really is, getting educated, understanding things, being okay with who you are, not living under shame and guilt and fear. Like, if we have to choose one, on average, that I think has the best potential to lead to the least amount of harm, I think it's reality, which in the case of these particular God claims happens to be a state of atheism. But it doesn't answer everything for everyone. Of course not. And I want people to come in with proper expectations. And the expectations, if you're lonely, or if you're confused, or if you're doubting, or if you're fearful, or any of these things, is that the world is still the world. And there are a ton of other false concepts and ideologies that you can become committed to, and wrongly so. But one thing that leaving a religion does give you the potential is to not be duped again, is to get perspective, is to be aware, is the permission and the allowance to work on yourself more. And I know some Christians would claim, nope, we believe in, good counseling and therapy, we believe in healing trauma, etc. That's fine, they're more progressive, and that's wonderful. But there's still so much baggage with the rest of their claims that I think it's actually pretty counterproductive, if not just straight up hypocritical. From the very first video, I have said the goal is to follow truth wherever it leads, despite the consequences. Not everyone is going to be aligned with that. I understand that. If the reason you believe in God, or the reason you believe in this particular God claim, is because you're someone like Theo Vaughn, who has a need and is expecting or hoping or already believing that it's getting managed through this invisible, mythical, non-communicating, non-existing entity, that's for sure, at some point, for most people, going to blow up in your face, or at least leave you exactly where you started. I think the best thing we can do is start from a position of truth. And even if that truth is, I don't know, you're off to the races. It's been about almost 4 years for me since I just dropped it and said, okay, I'm starting over. Here's all of the things I don't know. Here's all the things I can't know. Here's all the things I can't prove. Here's the things I don't understand. Here's the questions I still have. Here's the reasons religion still looks attractive. Here's the reasons I'm still afraid to let go. And one by one by one by one, rebuilding my life. What do I believe in? Why? What are my moral
morals? What are my ethics? Why? And by the way, some of those things stayed very well aligned with where I came from. And some of them did a complete 180. And some just bent or gave a little bit. This is the point. You're not subscribing to anything but truth. And for so much of these
because that was stupid
opinions and politics and issues, it's hard, it's complicated, it's nuanced, or it's even something we can't entirely know. And when religion claims you can know, it's not nuanced, it's straightforward, it's black and white, it's heaven and hell, it's natural sin that you need a savior from, you're gonna lose. And I know so many of you are in this weird middle period of you're watching this channel because you've started questioning, you've started leaving, you've got one foot out, but you're afraid, you don't know. That's okay. That's what I'm here to say. I'm here to tell you it's okay. And ideas like what Theo's got going on, I understand them completely, but they don't inherently lead to truth or benefit. Think critically. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you again to everyone who has helped me create this new space. I am so excited to start diving into some of the other endeavors that I want to do on this channel. And until then, keep thinking. I'd like to personally thank my top tiers of support, my Iconoclast, Anne, GBI, Jake and Joe, Oliver, Perry, Rocket, and Sean, my humanist heroes, Jared and Christy, my atheist advocates, or you just enjoy its content, please consider joining these fine patrons. Thanks, and have a great day.
I fucked his hole! I stuck my dick in his butt and twisted. Oh, let's have fun with this, lose. Now fuck up and move down here so I can ear your rook. So I can ear your rook.
Our guest today has studied the historical case for the resurrection, arguably more than anybody else alive.
More than anyone else alive? Really?
I emailed you and I said, how much time do you think you've put into this project?
This is my 14th year on this project, and I've been working 70 hours a week. Okay, that might be the most. That's dedication. No hobbies?
For a lot of people, a very nasty hobby. All my life I've gone snake hunting. I've caught hundreds of snakes.
Oh, chase that whore all the way to Kingdom Come.
So because I'm snake hunting, I stepped on a lot of nails.
I think he said right here, so I can donkey kong the fuck out of you.
Keep in front of that nail very long. Like less
than
a second.
Donkey Kong!
Welcome to Apologia, where a former Christian
Donkey
Kong!
Kong!
I have Volume 1 of Gary Habermas's magnum opus on the resurrection of Jesus in my hands. It's a big brute at over 1,000 pages.
Thousands and thousands of pages.
It's not a cheap book, but it is worth it, and some for sure.
Thousands of pages.
Wait,
not a cheap book.
Wait, she had Uzi
Thousands and thousands of pages.
Uzi, spit Uzi, spit Uzi, spit Uzi, spit Uzi, spit Uzi, spit, 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 spit.
It's not a cheap book, but it is worth it.
Thousands and thousands of pages.
Spit, 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 spit.
It's not a cheap book, but it is worth it, and some for sure.
If it costs $400,000, it costs $400,000. They're right. I don't object.
As of when I'm recording this, I'm about a third of the way in, and I want to read it all at least once through before I start critiquing the book itself. But Gary was recently on Sean McDowell's channel to promote the book, and in that 2-hour discussion, Sean was kind enough to ask some questions related directly to my resurrection theory turned resurrection enterprise. 5 years ago, almost to the day, I first floated my personal naturalistic explanation for Gary's minimal facts in a video called How Christianity Probably Began, No Resurrection Required. I've nuanced my thoughts more since then, and have even had them critiqued by world-renowned Bible scholar Dr. Bart Ehrman. Do you think you could give me a letter grade of how well I did?
I think you did extremely well. I mean, this kind of historical insight is rare.
And the Christian author of what is probably the most highly regarded modern resurrection book out there, Dr. Dale Allison? Does it pass or fail as a historical hypothesis?
Well, it depends on what you're doing with the secondary literature. So if you know the secondary literature and you're citing it and interacting with it, yeah, you get an A.
I've begun calling it the minimal witnesses hypothesis, or minimal witnesses theory, or minimal witnesses argument. Something with minimal witnesses, to mirror Gary's minimal facts. You can watch one of the aforementioned videos to get the full scenario, but the points that are important for today are these. After Jesus died, most of his disciples disappeared completely from reliable history. Maybe they went fishing, maybe they found a new teacher to follow. We don't know, because history didn't preserve that information. Peter, and Peter alone, had an experience he thought was the risen Jesus. Perhaps a relatively common post-death grief hallucination, perhaps something else non-veridical. Peter then convinced fellow disciple John, and James the brother of Jesus, to join him on his new mission based on his Jesus vision. What John and James believed specifically is also unrecorded by history, but nevertheless they joined Peter in wanting to continue the legacy of Jesus. Several years later, a Pharisee named Paul was actively persecuting Christians when he had an experience with Jesus he himself labels a vision. It might have been a PTSD guilt hallucination or something else entirely, but Jesus' body was long gone from the earth by then, so whatever it was not a physical encounter with a resurrected body. Some years after that, Paul met Peter, James, and John in Jerusalem. Decades later, after stories of Jesus were circulating and growing in legend and in evangelical effectiveness, long after Peter, Paul, and James were dead, some Greek writers who never knew Jesus compiled written gospels, weaving together oral legends about the man, pulling from existing written sources, including each other, Old Testament interpretations, with a dash of Greek literary tropes well known in the day. Yada yada yada, modern Christianity. There's more to it, and each of these would be their own chapter in a book. But the takeaway here is that Gary's facts.
So Jesus died by crucifixion, minimal fact. Second, the apostles had experiences they believed were of the risen Jesus. The third minimal fact is the proclamation of the resurrection that appears to took place very soon.
The disciples are willing to die for their faith. That means the disciples are transformed. Right? And then the last two are James and Paul.
Can be fully explained with highly plausible, entirely mundane events that need only two men, Peter and Paul, to have had some kind of hallucination, and those years apart, in circumstances where hallucinations are well known to happen. So let's take a look at each of these. My objections to Gary, and Gary's objections back to me. I'm going to use the exact phrasing from Gary's new book. His first fact, Jesus died due to the effects of Roman crucifixion. I'm just granting that for the sake of discussion. Numbers 2 and 3 together. The disciples afterward reported experiences that they thought were actually appearances by risen Jesus. And these experiences accounted for the disciples' lives becoming thoroughly transformed, even to the point of being willing to die for their belief. This is the heart of our disagreement. You see, Gary plays fast and loose with the word disciples. A scholar can agree with these two propositions. In fact, I could agree with these two propositions, thinking that there's evidence for maybe one or two disciples who reported experiences, and then Gary presents it to the public, like scholars are granting him all 12. If I get scholars to agree with me on the statement that Americans fought in World War II, and then build some hypothesis on the notion that scholars agree that every single American alive fought in World War II, that would be disingenuous and fallacious. It is not in evidence that all 12 reported experiences of risen Jesus. Not in for maybe one or two disciples who reported experiences, and then Gary presents it to the public, like scholars are granting him all 12. If I get scholars to agree with me on the statement that Americans fought in World War II, and then build some hypothesis on the notion that scholars agree that every single American alive fought in World War II, that would be disingenuous and fallacious. It is not in evidence that all 12 reported experiences of risen Jesus. As a matter of fact, we have no first-hand accounts from any of them on this front. We have one second-hand report of vague gospel agreement from Peter, and we can generously assume that that's synonymous with risen Jesus. But beyond that, for him or anyone else, it's just stories of stories of stories. And it is not in evidence that all 12 were transformed or willing to die for this belief. Again, there's some evidence for Peter, but not the rest. Thankfully, Sean will ask this question.
Here's where some debate comes in, that we have the testimony of Paul in 1 Corinthians 15, one of the accepted letters, 3 accounts in Acts, strong historical case can be made for this. Few people question Paul. Few people question Peter. We have multiple accounts of Peter singled and named out. But when it comes to the other 12, now they're just mentioned as a group, not mentioned as individuals. So how much confidence can we have in, say, James the son of Zebedee, or Matthew, or Thaddeus, who's not specifically mentioned, and we don't have his direct eyewitness claim that he saw the risen Jesus?
I say 2 things. Number 1, the way I will nuance that claim of disciples' transformations, I will say, as far as we know and all the literature we have.
Okay.
But here's the more important one. There's 4 big names in the early research. You named everybody but one in our talking here. Peter, James the brother of Jesus, Paul, and John. They're the 4 most influential Christians probably of all time.
Gary admits he really has only 4 names: Peter, James, brother of Jesus, Paul, and John. But remember that Paul and James each have their own separate facts, number 5 and number 6 on Gary's list. So the only 2 names he can attach to having experiences and being willing to die are Peter and John. Facts number 2 and 3 should actually read: Peter and John afterward reported these experiences that they thought were actually appearances by the risen Jesus, and these experiences accounted for Peter and John's lives becoming thoroughly transformed, even to the point of being willing to die for their belief. But that's not as powerful, is it?
And when Paul goes to Jerusalem to talk to the eyewitnesses, this is my number 1 reason, remember, he sees Peter and James and Paul. 3 of the 4 are there, and when he comes back in Galatians 2, John is there. Okay, if they're the big 4, Paul, Peter, James, the brother of Jesus, and John, they're the most influential ones. We have 1st century martyrdom reports on 3 of the 4, and I know you reject the 2nd century one for John. But a lot of people think John's the only one that nothing ever happened to him. We have a 2nd century report. You can do what you want with that. But we have Peter, James the brother of Jesus, and Paul.
Note that the minimal witnesses scenario already accounts for Peter and John, and Paul and James. So if that's all you have, you're not refuting my theory.
So I say, those guys, you go, what about the rest of them? I say, it's irrelevant to me. There's 4 here, we can track them.
To be clear, Gary is on the record as saying that anything beyond this 4 is irrelevant to him. So any hypothesis, say the minimal witness scenario, need explain only these 4.
I see a dick in your future. I see a dick.
I think a big deal of Peter, James the brother of Jesus, and Paul. If you want to use John, if you don't want to use John, we have there's 4 that are in Galatians 1 and 2. Only the first 3 are in Galatians 1. And that's why those guys are in the middle.
Hell no, I'm going to kick your ass.
For everyone in the back, Gary's minimal facts number 2 and number 3.
No.
All anyone has to explain is Peter and John, none of the other 12. For Gary, they are window dressing without consideration.
It's your asshole. Not just your ass, but your asshole.
He didn't say all 12. I'm not going to die for that. But he did say the disciples were his 3.
Oh!
Resurrection, and it's important.
Hell no, you stupid.
Going to admit Paul could mean fewer than 12. What makes you say he means more than 3? That's just pulling numbers out of the air without substantiation again. You agree you have evidence for 2. Just be consistent and stick with 2.
So what's interesting when it comes to the other apostles, another potential angle here is when you look at the beginning of Acts, they lay out the names specifically. In Acts chapter 1, it says Peter, John, James and Andrew, Philip and Thomas, Bartholomew, Matthew, James, Simon, Judas the son of James. They're specifically mentioned by name. And then Peter stands up, and he's going to lead and speak on behalf of the apostles.
Sean. What do we do when something is mentioned only in the book of Acts?
I probably would assess James, the son of Zebedee, one notch down. And that's because we have one good source for James in the book of Acts. But I probably put that a little higher than it should be, given one source.
That's right. When all we have is the book of Acts, we lower our confidence in the claim, or we call it, "For the Bible tells me so."
What if somebody fell away later? What if they didn't?
Call it, "For the Bible tells me so."
What if somebody fell away later? What if they didn't? Well, what if they did? What if they didn't? See, this argument's going nowhere.
That's right. The argument is going nowhere because you can't sufficiently support your positive claim that all 12 had these experiences, or that all 12 were putting their lives in harm's way. The burden of proof is on the person making the positive claim, which is you, Gary.
But we don't have any data, as you say. I'll quote Sean McDowell. As you say, we have no evidence of recanting, either in the New Testament or in the early reliable sources, nothing.
That's an argument from silence. A lack of record saying something didn't happen doesn't demonstrate that it did.
Don't do what Donnie Don't does. They couldn't make this clearer.
Neither Gary nor Sean can demonstrate that any of the 12 were given a chance to recant and then held strong. Without that, this is a giant nothing burger.
But I concentrate
What
on
about
Paul,
Thomas?
Peter, and James, for which we have outstanding data.
Cool. Paul and James have their own facts later. So for facts number 2 and number 3, you're saying the single and only person you have outstanding data for is Peter. And that's the exact scenario that the minimal witnesses theory explains and fully addresses. Just Peter. And why does this matter? Because the only defense against Peter having a hallucination is the evangelical notion that there were group appearances.
Group appearances are really rough on hallucinations.
But if we open up Gary's book to his full list of his extended 12 quasi-facts, Jesus died, Jesus was buried, disciples were sad, empty tomb, reported experiences, early reports, transformed lives, starts in Jerusalem, met on Sunday, central resurrection message, James converted, and Paul converted. None of these even watered-down facts to be explained claim group experiences. Per Gary, group experiences are not a fact to be explained, and so group experiences are not something that Gary's camp can use to try to dismiss Peter having a hallucination. The minimal facts, and even Gary's larger extended facts, absolutely fail on this front. A grief hallucination by Peter covers facts number 2 and number 3, with maybe some arms twisting or social contagion by John, if you include it.
If you want to use John, if you don't want to use John.
Alright, let's get through the rest of Gary's facts here quickly. Number 4, the proclamation of Jesus' resurrection and appearances took place very early, soon after the experiences themselves. Sure, Peter's experience could have happened that first weekend. Nothing new for me to explain here. Number 5, James, the brother of Jesus and a skeptic before his conversion, most likely believed after he also thought that he saw the risen Jesus. Now hold on there, Gary. What's this most likely business on a fact? That James converted is the fact that you pitched before, not why he converted. There's no consensus there.
One of the objections is that we have James who we don't really know it was the appearance of Jesus that converted him. Now you cited earlier that we have the account in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, and then we have kind of what's called the Gospel of Hebrews, I think is the title, mid-2nd century, that has kind of an appearance to James. Now,
Which is only a fragment. It's only a fragment of it. The appearance of James is there, yes.
So it's multiply attest. I know Crossan goes for a third source and maybe the Gospel of Thomas 12, but I'm not convinced by that. I don't think you are either.
I know the Gospel of Thomas 12 makes no sense to me at all. As back in that. If it backs it up, it backs it up. I don't care if Thomas backs it up. It's fine with me, but I don't see it in saying 12.
I agree. I'd like to be convinced by that, but I just didn't see that it was there. How do we know it was the resurrection appearance that converted James? Or if it's not what converted him, does that really ultimately matter for the strength of his conversion?
No. I don't know that the appearance did. We do have the Gospel of the Hebrews. But it looks like by far the best argument.
I'm going to let Christian scholar William Lane Craig take this one for me.
But I was really surprised to hear Gary appeal to the Gospel of the Hebrews as vindication of this appearance claim. As he says, it is a very early apocryphal gospel. It's quoted by Jerome and has a fairly lengthy paragraph in which the resurrection appearance of the Lord to James is described. And this is dated in the early 2nd century. But I don't think anybody thinks that this is a historically accurate account of the appearance to James. I mean, quite the contrary. By then, people were well aware of the name in Paul's list of eyewitnesses in 1 Corinthians 15. Then he appeared to James, then to all the apostles. And so this apocryphal story is probably a fanciful legend of the appearance to James, built upon this single reference that Paul gives in 1 Corinthians 15. Now, maybe Gary knows something about this that I don't, but I'm not aware of anybody who would think that this is a historically credible account of the appearance to James.
Ouch. Your thoughts, Gary?
However,
I really don't care. The main point is James one of those who sees the risen Jesus, is his life changed?
That's right. We can generously concede that James, the brother of Jesus, was a believer. And by both Sean's question and your own admission, you don't seem to have enough evidence to say why he was a believer. If you don't know why James was a believer, then the minimal witnesses theory is still on track. And Gary's last fact, number 6. Just a few years later, Saul of Tarsus, Paul, also became a Christian believer due to an experience that he also concluded was an appearance of the risen Jesus to him. Boom. Yep, we agree. My minimal witnesses are Peter and Paul. All 6 of Gary's facts are more than covered by minimal witnesses theory. Sadly, I don't think that I have the credentials or the traction to have Gary include minimal witnesses theory in his 2nd volume.
Gotcha. So volume 2 is on natural evidences, natural objections, and other objections.
And sadly, comments are turned off on all of Gary's videos, so we can't petition him here. So I've missed the boat, and Gary will retire, having never directly addressed minimal witnesses theory. But Gary has inspired me to begin my own magnum opus on the resurrection, my own book, that may or may not come out someday before I die, laying out the entire minimal witnesses argument from start to finish in full scholarly treatment. Sadly, as a full-time YouTuber, in order to feed my family, I'm not in the position Gary was in.
I emailed you and I said, how much time do you think you've put into this project, Volume 1? And I think you said about 32,000 hours into this.
I
actually had a pretty good figure on that.
Oh,
you want to know who makes the best cars?
I worked 70 hours a week. I'm not all on this, so I had to cut a
you want to
percentage
know
off,
who makes
maybe
the best
50%.
cars? Go to the company
I worked 70 hours a week for about.
You want to know who makes the
This is
best
my
cars? Go to
14th
the
year on this
company
project.
You want to know who makes
And
the
I've been
best
working
cars? Go to the
70
company
hours a
that
week.
backs them the best.
As my wife
You want
or
to
my
know the
research
company that
assistant
makes the
can tell
best.
you.
You want to know who makes
So
the
I
best
simply
cars? Go to
divided
You want to know who
70
makes
times
the
the
best
number of
cars?
weeks
Go to
and
the
took about
company that
50% of it off because I do other things like
You want to
email
know
and
who
everything
makes the
else.
best cars? Go
But
to
I've
the
worked
company that
70
backs
hours a
them the
week
best.
of work. So that figure is probably fairly accurate.
I can't give it 35 hours a week for the next 14 years and still produce this channel, not to mention my lack of research assistants. Gary mentions one here, probably Dr. Ben Shaw, whom the book says has been working with Gary for at least 10 years on this, but the book also credits 5 other research assistants. That's a pretty massive staff. I have no research assistants. Gary's interview gives us a...
But I worked 70 hours a week of work. So that figure is probably fairly accurate.
I can't give it 35 hours a week for the next 14 years and still produce this channel, not to mention my lack of research assistants. Gary mentions one here, probably Dr. Ben Shaw, whom the book says has been working with Gary for at least 10 years on this, but the book also credits 5 other research assistants. That's a pretty massive staff. I have no research assistants. Gary's interview gives us a hint at a publisher's estimated budget for the project.
What's the status of your 4-volume thing right now? I said, I haven't found a publisher. I haven't really been looking. He goes, why not? I said, well, first of all, I just haven't looked, but secondly, these guys want me to raise $400,000. Lexham was a little lower, but they were still very high.
So yeah, I have no money and no staff and just a few hours a week. But I've started, and at my current pace, I should be set to publish in 20 years or so. Maybe I can try to match Gary's 14 years. I'm very passionate about it, so I am actively looking for ideas and ways to compress that timeline. So if anyone has thoughts or means to help, I'm all ears. In the meantime, I'd love to have a chance for a friendly conversation with Gary about my minimal witnesses argument, and for him to give me his honest, forthright critique, just like Dr. Ehrman and Dr. Allison have provided. Gary's friend Dr. Lycona has even been here answering questions on it. Gary, if you hear this, let's talk. If you want to hear more of my critiques of Jesus' resurrection claims, tap on the playlist on screen now, and I'll see you over there. Until next time, later.
God damn it.
He had studied serial killers.
There was blood everywhere. It was really evident that something wasn't right.
He said that he just freaked out.
And he said, I'm going to do this for the thrill of it. These are the people I'm going to kill.
I think that he's an evil person, and I don't think that you can change that.
He took his knife and he killed them.
This is probably, of all the murder cases I handled, the most violent.
This crime is generally considered to be a thrill killing. There is absolutely no motive.
Bellevue, Washington, a comfortable suburb just south of Seattle. High-tech industry is thriving here, and so are the neighborhoods. In fact, it's been named the 4th best place to live in the U.S. But on one warm and quiet Saturday in January 1997, something will happen that will shake this town to its core. Two young friends are riding their bikes through the park when they spot something strange in the woods. Just off the trail, in between the bushes and the branches, they can make out what looks like some old blue and white fabric.
They found what they thought was a pile of clothing, perhaps, or some trash someone had thrown out.
They stopped, poked at the clothing with a stick, discovered it was a body. They rode home, told their mother. The mother called 911.
The word goes out to the Bellevue police. A body has been found at the Water Tower Park. In the shadow of the giant tower, this park is normally a small oasis for the kids at nearby Woodbridge Elementary School. But not today. For Detective Robert Thompson, first indications is that this isn't a normal crime scene. The body is a young woman in her 20s. She's completely clothed. No sign of abuse. No sign of apparent violence. But, turning the body over, Thompson does see one shocking sign. A nylon rope wrapped around her neck.
In this park, there was bushes and there was a lot of trees, and initially it looked like she may have hung herself and the rope broke. Detective Gomes was on call at the time and started his investigation at the park.
Unsure whether or not this is a suicide,
God
the
damn it.
detectives get in touch with the prosecutor's office.
I got a call on a Sunday. I was at work. I was on call. And they thought it was a suicide. So we went out to the park.
Fucking damn it.
She had this rope around her neck, Kim did. Nobody could figure out, where could she have hung herself from. And it started to look like it probably wasn't a suicide, but we didn't quite know.
The one obvious clue, a checkbook on the young woman's body, indicating her identity. Kimberly Wilson. Her address, just a few blocks away.
Myself, Senior Deputy Prosecutor Patricia Eames, and the coroner responded to that residence to make notification to the family of Kimberly's situation.
When we got to the house, it was starting to kind of get a little dark. It was early January in Seattle, so it was getting a little dusky. And things just didn't seem right. There was nobody answering the door. I had a bad feeling, as did Detective Gomes, I think.
I knocked on the front door, there was no answer. I went to the back door and knocked on a glass sliding door, there was no answer.
Detective Gomes and I talked about what to do, and I suggested he should go and...
Oozy spit.
And knocked on a glass sliding door, there was no answer.
Detective Gomes and I talked about what to do, and I suggested he should go inside.
I decided to enter the house to determine the welfare of people in the home. The sliding glass door was unlocked. I slid it open. I entered the house.
Called out after a couple of minutes. It was dark, we couldn't see. We were waiting out in the back off of the patio that he had found one body, and then a couple minutes later he called that he had found 2 more bodies. And so Jeff came out and took us back inside the house, and it's difficult to describe. It was just so incredibly horrific. The violence that was so obvious throughout the 2 rooms. I mean, there was blood everywhere. This is probably, of all the murder cases I handled, and I handled a lot of them, the most violent in terms of the injuries to the people.
When the victims of this bloody crime are identified, it becomes clear they're all part of the same family. 20-year-old Kimberly Wilson strangled at the park, and inside the house, her parents, Rose and Bill Wilson, and her younger sister, Julia Wilson, all dead. 2 beaten with a baseball bat, 1 stabbed with a knife. The coroner's report determines all of the Wilsons were killed on the very same night, and strangest of all, in 2 different locations. None of this seems to make sense, starting with the victims themselves.
The Wilsons, were a pretty typical middle-class family living in a very middle-class suburb in Bellevue. It was a nice area of town. They went to good schools. They had lived there since, I believe, the 1980s. So they were pretty established there.
They had 2 daughters. One was in high school still. That was Julia. And then their older daughter, Kimberly, had joined AmeriCorps, which was similar to Job Corps, but it was in the United States. And she had spent some time in San Diego, and they were just, I guess you would call it an all-American family. Wife, husband, and 2 daughters. They were just going through the everyday struggles that everybody else goes through in life, and living here in Bellevue. Bellevue doesn't have a lot of murder cases, and the whole area doesn't have it. I mean, something significant as an entire family being murdered in the night is pretty significant.
Why would anyone want to kill off a whole family? As news of this terrible case starts to spread, more and more tips begin to pour in from a fearful community.
A young woman came to the house. She was a close friend of Kimberly Wilson. Her name was Claire Hearn. Claire Hearn spoke to me about several people that could have been involved in the murders. One was Kimberly Wilson's ex-boyfriend, who she no longer saw. Then she also talked about David Anderson, who was a friend of Kimberly Wilson's, and his strange friend. The theory of the ex-boyfriend was eliminated. He had an alibi. And myself and several other detectives went to contact David Anderson. And from there we learned that his friend was Alex Barani.
My understanding is that David and Alex became friends in junior high school. I think it was in 7th grade. They were really
God damn it.
opposites in many ways. Alex was kind of an introvert. He didn't get along with other people. He was pretty hostile with other kids and other adults, and he just was I'll call him a grumpy person, but just not somebody who made any effort to get along with people. David, on the other hand, I thought of as Eddie Haskell, from the Leave It to Beaver series. He was incredibly charming. He was very smooth. I think if I was a parent and he was dating my daughter, you'd have that sense of kind of creeps you out a little bit, like he's working a little bit too hard to be smooth. But he was very charming, and a lot of people liked him.
Two teenage friends, both a little strange. Are they just odd, or are they killers? And why in the world would two kids brutally murder an entire family? With no apparent motive, the detectives are baffled. In January 1997, shocking news sweeps through the community of Bellevue, Washington. An entire family has been viciously murdered. The police have focused in on two persons of interest, David Anderson and Alex Barani.
The Wilson family knew for sure David Anderson because David was a friend of Kim's. And he had actually been over to the Wilson residence on several occasions.
In fact, Kim had provided David with a place to spend the night several times when he had fought with his parents. And that's not all.
David Anderson often used Kimberly Wilson for money. He borrowed money and scrounged off of her. So much so that after a while, she drew up a contract of a debt that he owed her, approximately $350.
As the detectives start to look into David Anderson, they find some disturbing evidence.
From information we gained through search warrants, David Anderson was planning a murder for some time. He had collected weapons, knives, baseball bats. He had spoken to several different acquaintances, juveniles. He also had what the witnesses called a hit list, a list of people that apparently angered David Anderson, and he would tell people that these are the people I'm going to kill.
And they talked about it in pretty graphic detail, and Kim and her family kind of presented themselves as great victims, so to speak, because David already had a lot of anger, and he had this debt that Kim was writing him about paying back.
So the investigation was just leading more and more away from the other leads, and specifically towards David Anderson and Alex Barani.
At that time, the detectives were interviewing a number of Kim Wilson's associates, people in the neighborhood, and they encountered David Anderson and Alex Barani, both of whom were remarkably calm and collected, and in fact, Mr. Anderson appeared bored with the questions about Kim and who might have wanted to hurt her.
But at the crime scene, the detectives have gotten a new lead. A very distinctive shoe print on Bill Wilson's back.
A couple days later, I was actually talking to a person who lived upstairs in the residence, and his name was Bobby Boyd. And Bobby Boyd had some information about who he thought might be involved in the crime. And while I was talking to him, I asked to look at the bottom of his boots, and I wanted to see the soles. And when he showed me the soles of his boots, they were exactly like the footprint that was on Mr. Wilson's back, except that the shoe was small. And I asked him about that shoe, and he said, well, yeah, Alex, who lives downstairs in the basement, he and I bought a pair of these work boots at the same time, and they gave a specific store.
We arrested Alex Barani shortly after The investigation started approximately 2 days. He was called into the station on a voluntary request to speak with us.
He felt very comfortable talking about the case and felt like he could just freely talk to the police. But when asked about that shoe and where his work boots were, that he had already shown detectives that he didn't have any work boots in his house, and now we knew he did have a pair of those boots. He suddenly turned about 180 degrees, his lip began to quiver, and he became very nervous.
He asked for a couple of minutes to think about it. We left the room. After a couple of minutes, the three of us returned to the room, and Alex Barani confessed to his participation in the murders.
Mr. Barani, after first denying any involvement, quickly gave a very graphic and detailed account of the murders, which was remarkable because
stupid
experience. He was still in a state of exhilaration. He had obviously and he decided not to make any admissions, but Mr. Brandy was so ecstatic about the process of committing murder, he could not restrain himself from describing it to us.
According to Barani, on the night of the tragedy, he's hiding in a prearranged spot at the Water Tower Park.
Man, I'm fucking
He sees David Anderson arriving with Kimberly Wilson. He watches, and then he makes his move.
Mark!
Along with his accomplice, whom he never identifies, together, they make sure she's dead.
Oh, let's see what he could have done
They
to
sneak
save
over
his
to
face.
Wilson's house. Tragically, a door is
Could've
unlocked.
moved there.
Everyone's asleep. Up on the second floor, the still of the night is shattered by a baseball bat. Rose dies without ever waking up. Bill Wilson tries to defend himself, but he's no match for the two teens. Awakened by the sounds of the assault, young Julia Wilson, only 17, makes the mistake of coming in to find out what's going on. Her is the most savage of all. Before leaving, the assailants steal a CD player, a VHS recorder, and a wireless phone. But clearly, that's not the reason for the crime.
One would like to think that they had some rational motive for what they did.
This crime is generally considered to be a thrill killing. There is absolutely no motive for the crime that makes any sense whatsoever.
I actually think the reason they went to the house, which was totally gratuitous since they had already killed Kimberly in the park, there was really no reason to go to the house, was simply for the complete experience that they had talked about wanting to have.
When the case goes to trial, the district attorney charges both Anderson and Barani, but Alex's lawyer decides to put on an insanity defense.
Alex Barani has a mental disorder, bipolar disorder.
The prosecutors separate Barani from Anderson and pursue two separate trials.
Alex was tried, and unfortunately for him, a diminished capacity defense has a very low success rate. He claimed his bipolar disorder led him to commit the murders, but the jury didn't buy it, and he was convicted.
Alex Barani showed little emotion. His mother sat quietly behind him as the jury's verdict was read. Guilty on all 4 counts of aggravated first-degree murder. As the convicted quadruple murderer left the courtroom,
No comment.
he simply smiled.
One teenager is heading to prison, but a courtroom surprise puts the second verdict in doubt. In the brutal murder of an entire family, one suspect has been found guilty, but when the second comes to trial, there's a surprise in the courtroom.